Thank you for joining JTV News. I'm Peter Gay Coombs. In the news, NDP administration gives itself the thumbs up at midterm mark.
Well, Madam Speaker, there is quite a lot more to be done. I must say that I am proud of what we've accomplished so far as a government.
There is progress in the country, and you have some out there talking about education and how nothing is happening in education. What a wicked set of people.
Premier breaks his silence on Auditor General's appointment.
Another thing, Madam Speaker, we got some of our own people talking about why BV Islanders think that they're entitled.
I think we have to take a serious look at how work permits are being issued in this country.
Ashburn Dawson's family offers reward for information leading to the arrest of his killer or killers.
Just as painful as the loss is, the fact that a person living in the community I live in is walking around, sharing my space, free to do this again to someone else's son. It keeps me awake at night.
All the real men stand up.
We want to look at the good things our guys are doing within our communities because they're doing a lot of good work.
Later, what should you get your father for Father's Day?
Well, this sale is going to last for the entire month of June. We're celebrating fathers for the entire month. Again, we just need all old inventory to go. We have a bunch of cars that's coming in within the next 2 weeks. We have the Tacomas coming. We have Yaris's coming. We have everything coming, all the good stuff.
The big story this week, grading the NDP administration's performance after 2 years in office. Bishop John Klein gives us his take. In Caribbean news, Liat pilots on strike. Body of missing Jamaican woman found in a tomb in her house. And Antigua considers higher taxes for sugary beverages and foods. In our Medical Minute segment, flavorful ways to cut down on your salt intake. Dr. Geronimo Jones tells us more in our Mayo Clinic Medical Minute. The details of these right after this break.
This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is us. This is how we flow.
Welcome back to JTV News. June 8th marked the midterm anniversary of the governing National Democratic Party NDP since their re-election in 2015. Speaking in the House of Assembly on June 6th, Premier and Minister of Finance Dr. D. Orlando Smith states that he's proud of the accomplishments of his administration so far in the health and financial services sectors, such as the public-private partnership launched this year in the form of BVI Finance Limited to bolster the financial services. The Premier, whose leadership has been under sustained criticism in recent times, concedes that there is quite a lot more to be done, adding that he will make a more significant statement shortly.
One of the most significant things for the people of this country was the introduction of the National Health Insurance Program. And when I speak to people all over this country, I recognize that they too, everybody, is very happy and very pleased and grateful. That is something that this government was able to bring to fruition. Of course, there are a lot of things like the infrastructure that we've done. There's the business development programs, which has been happening as well. I think that's particularly important, Madam Speaker, because we recognize that we'd like to expand the nature of the economy. It's good that we have two team fields, but we wanted to do more. And that's why we placed a lot of focus in the past couple of years on business development, small and medium-sized enterprises.
Meanwhile, a fiery Minister of Education and Culture and at-large Representative Maron Walwyn articulates that the government must be commended for its development of the People's Hospital, National Health Insurance Scheme, infrastructural projects, as well as advancements in education and employment, despite what he describes as mistakes, though he did not elaborate on those mistakes.
But when you look at the report card of this government, Madam Speaker, this government has something good to report. Madam Speaker, you look at that hospital that we have there and the continued improvement in the service being offered at the hospital. If anybody tells me that that is not improvement, I don't know if they know what improvement is. You have the National Health Insurance, Madam Speaker. Yes, we had some feeding pains with it, and we're going to continue to have some. How many times now that same piece of land for the hospital got cut down, grow back up, cut down, grow back up, ground breaking, ground break up again, ground come back again, it break again. And now I would say, Minister, and I'm going to hold you to your promise because I know you're a man of your promises, that by December that place will be ready over in Virgin Gorda for the good people over there. There is progress in the country, and you have some out there talking about education and how nothing is happening in education. What a wicked set of people. I'm going to be extremely proud during the graduation ceremonies coming up. I want to be very proud of the one particularly for the technical school in Barbers Bay. When we came into office, Madam Speaker, that place was a dumping ground for students who we think we couldn't teach. And we were able to turn that school into something. And so we'll be having our job fair on the 17th of June. We're already reaching out to employers who worked with us on the first job fair and apprenticeship program, where the government will pay half of the salary for about 3 to 6 months, and the employer will pay the other half to try to get our young people working and moving again. There's been much talk out there to make it look as if this grade 12 didn't work well. All because we had to put the students up at the H.M. Community College. What is wrong with that? You got to have the most qualified graduates leaving secondary education in the history of this country at the upcoming graduation this month, Madam Speaker. And I'm asking the people to pray for us. To pray for us, because we need prayer. We need prayer. I'm asking the people as well, Madam Speaker, to do your research. You have some people who could tell lie, you know.
Arguing that though tourism continues to thrive and the last 2 years have been difficult, particularly in the financial services, Minister Walwyn asserts that there should be less criticisms and more building of the Virgin Islands and Virgin Islanders.
We have a tendency to look at the Virgin Islands where we live. We seem to look at it in a vacuum. If we continue to fight, create trouble, have nothing good to say about each other, but then when persons come in from outside and take up positions in the country, we start to make noise. Well, you have to build your own people up. And part of building your own people up is not just education, but each of us lifting up each other and building up each other. And that's a part of the problem you have.
Representative for the 3rd District, Julian Fraser, voiced strongly in the House on June 6 that the leader of the BVI must be at the forefront of the arguments in favor of ensuring local jobs are protected for BVI landers by preparing them for these opportunities.
If we nominate and appoint people to boards, if we haven't done it in the past, then we have to start doing it in the future. Start looking at the way these people think. Their consciousness level, their level of consciousness as to what's around them. And if they're not conscious that it is imperative that Virgin Islanders get an opportunity to advance, then they're not the right people for the jobs.
Mr. Fraser advocates that responsibility for the public service be removed from the governor and transferred to the office of the premier.
Either it hasn't resonated that the BVI needs them and they didn't prepare themselves for the BVI, or someone is not telling the truth when they say they can't find people to fill these positions. Madam Speaker, frankly, I am fed up, I'm disgusted, and I think the time has come also when the public service should be under the premier. Could you imagine us going to the UK asking for an advancement to our constitution, especially telling the ministers or the minister responsible for the overseas territories that we think that it's time that the premier be given responsibility for police. Really, could you imagine us going and saying that? No. And the first thing they will throw in our faces, how could we do that when the governor had to go into the consolidated fund to take money to fund the police? You see the plan? It's a plot. And if we don't call it out for what it is, Madam Speaker, it will stand.
Meanwhile, Representative for the 6th District, Alvaro Madura-Keynes, is calling on the government to review the work permit system while questioning the plans in place to guarantee jobs for the hundreds of high school and college students about to graduate.
I think we have to take a serious look at how work permits are being issued in this country. We have to seriously look at this. We cannot afford to be sending our children away to school, coming back with his master's and bachelor's degree, and sit for years without getting a job. We as people feel that our own people cannot hold certain jobs. Why are committees that we set up nominating other people or referring other people than their own to hold certain positions?
In response, Premier and Minister of Finance Dr. D. Orlando Smith points out that while education is important, being educated with the skill set required by the job market is equally important. He also breaks his silence regarding a UK national being appointed to the post of Auditor General.
In the case of the Auditor General, when that position was advertised, and there was somebody selected by the selection committee, etc. But we were not content, Madam Speaker, that was the person we wanted at that time. And so we asked that the position be held. And that was held for, Mrs. Curtin, for about 9 months. Yeah. While we, did a search and encouraged other young people who were qualified in the BVI to get in that position. It is true, Madam Speaker, that we have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money in education for the people and young people of this territory. And they have taken advantage of these education opportunities, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, it does take some time before we are able to fill all the positions that are vacant in the territory, and we have to continue with this process of educating, and not just educating on the elementary level or on the second level, but also in focused education. Let's take the matter of health in the hospital. At this point in time, after all these years and all the education program we've had, and even though there are quite a significant number of doctors qualified and trained and working in the BVI, there's still, for example, no local medical internist, specialist in internal medicine at the hospital at this time. There's still, for example, Mr. Speaker, no local surgeon at the hospital at this time.
The territory has witnessed 5 murders so far for this year. Gone too soon are Franklin Foy, Alston Penn, Ashburn Dawson, Jefferson Joseph, and Sean Richards. So far, Santo Yamarco Hernandez, 38, a native of the Dominican Republic, has been charged and arraigned in court for Penn's murder. But what about the others? The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, RVIPF, continues to struggle to advance investigations into these cases. Now, the family of Ashburn Dawson has pooled resources to offer a financial reward to personal persons with valid information. Kathy Richards has the details.
No family should be made to live with the pain of losing a loved one, especially to a heinous crime. But the stark reality is that there are many families right here in the British Virgin Islands living with that pain, especially as the perpetrators of those murders are somewhere out there living large and free. In the case of the murder of Ashburn Dawson, who was brutally gunned down on the night of March 10, 2017, while in the prime of his life at age 31, his family is desperate to get justice.
I would have never imagined that I would lose a child in such a tragic manner. The pain and anguish is overwhelming at times, and my heart just cries out for relief. Persons around may not understand, but God does. However, just as painful as the loss is, the fact that a person living in the community I live in is walking around, sharing my space, free to do this again to someone else's son. It keeps me awake at night. It should bother all of us. To date, the murder remains unsolved, and that is why the family is offering a reward for any information that may be linked to the arrest and persecution of the murderer.
One cannot fathom the pain that mother feels. What's evident is that there is deep hurt that can be relieved should the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force be put in a position to crack this case. The family says that detectives don't know exactly where Ashburn had been that evening, who he was with, and who he had been speaking to prior to him being shot. Did he have an argument with someone? Was there some other motive for wanting him dead? These are all unanswered questions. Persons with this information can contact the Senior Investigating Officer, Detective Inspector Joe Goff, or one of his team members directly at 368-9410. All information will be treated sensitively and with the highest level of confidentiality, promises the family. For JTV News, Kathy Richards.
There is one more reason why you need to be glued to JTV Channel 55. The Social Development Department, in collaboration with the Office of Gender Affairs, is giving thumbs up to our men. Kathy Richards tells us more.
When things go wrong in homes and in our communities, men are usually the ones to get the first to blame. While in many cases the allegations are in order, in some of those very men and others, a treasure chest of good is very often not acknowledged. This year, for Men's Week observed during the month of June, the Social Development Department, in collaboration with the Office of Gender Affairs, says, let's turn our attention to the good of the many men who saturate the territory.
We thought it necessary this year to look at our men within our community and denounce those negative images that we would always read about or hear about in the media when it comes to not protecting our children. And we thought we looked at the role of men in preventing child abuse and how can we play on this bumper sticker and play on promoting the things that our men within our community are doing positively within our community. We want to look at the good things our guys are doing within our communities because they're doing a lot of good work, and we wanted to congratulate them for that.
Deputy Social Development Officer Stacey Stout James, who appeared on the June 6th edition of JTV's Spotlight program hosted by Eduenka, spoke of some of the highlights.
So we'll be having posters every week coming out for the rest of June. I'm gonna.
And maybe we could see some of the posters while you talk about it.
You have some of them. With this one, the Daddy and Me, we're encouraging for the entire month of June to ask dads. It doesn't just have to be dads. It could be godfathers. It could be uncles, just post pictures with your son or daughter or loved one on the Facebook page. It's /Daddy and Me BVI and enter. So from June 1st to June 30th, persons can put their photos on there. The person who has the most likes will get a prize from Gender Affairs. So we just want to, denounce, all those negative images we have of our men in our community
And bring the positive
ones.
The videos will be shown on JTV channel 55 indiscriminately and can be found on our Facebook page, JTV channel 55, and the JTV YouTube channel. For JTV News, I'm Kathy Richards.
Still to come on JTV News, in the big story, reviewing the NDP administration's performance at the midterm mark, Bishop John Klein gives us his take. But first, other news making headlines in the Caribbean.
Here in the Virgin Islands, we are blessed to live and work in paradise. Paradise just doesn't mean our tranquil blue waters and green hills. National Bank of the Virgin Islands defines paradise as any place or condition that fulfills your aspirations.
To me, paradise means knowing that I will have a financing partner when I'm ready to open my first business.
I feel confident that I can manage whatever life throws my way because I know my bank will be with me every step of the way.
That's why I choose National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
My future's looking so bright, 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 with the official bank of paradise, dice, 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 dice. Paradise.
National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
Over 1,000 Liat passengers were left stranded from St. Vincent to Guyana this week. Flights on the regional airline were disrupted starting on Wednesday morning after some pilots took industrial action. The pilots who operate the ATR-72 aircraft procured by Liat in 2013 are members of the Leeward Islands Airline Association, LIALPA, which instructed them to report for work but not to do any takeoff as they come with additional responsibility, and Liat has not met its obligation to the pilots after a 4-year grace period and 7-year wage freeze. However, the pilots of the ATR-42 aircraft were directed to operate as normal. Last month, Liat's pilots called off a planned strike after an informal agreement was reached at a meeting on May 24 to resolve the airline's failure to implement a new salary structure agreed in 2012. LIALPA says the management of the airline is yet to acknowledge that agreement in writing. Jamaican police investigators and forensic experts have made a gory find in a house in Negril, Westmoreland. The decomposed body of 24-year-old Chantal Dar, who has been reported missing for about 2 months, was found in a tomb in the house in which she resided with her boyfriend. However, her 3-year-old daughter, Orlandi Miller, remains missing. Police have identified Miss Dar's boyfriend, who they say left the island on April 27, as a person of interest and are working with their international partners to get him back to the island. The government of Antigua and Barbuda has begun efforts which could result in higher taxes being applied to beverages and food with a high sugar content. Minister of Health Malwin Joseph says the Pan American Health Organization PAHO has been asked to conduct a study to be completed by July to guide the deliberations, which will also involve public consultations. The Antigua and Barbuda Health Minister asserts that by increasing the tax on sugar, the tax on healthier food will be lowered, thereby reducing the cost to eat healthy. The move is part of a global campaign led by the World Health Organization WHO to increase awareness and reduce the prevalence of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, stroke, and heart attack. Grenada is looking to get into the oil game. Prime Minister and Minister of Energy Dr. Keith Mitchell has announced that an oil exploration campaign is to start as part of efforts to restore the country to a path of economic growth. At present, Grenada does not produce oil. However, Dr. Mitchell says that the Global Petroleum Group GPG has been authorized to conduct a seismic survey on the island and has identified areas offering the greatest exploration and economic potential for oil.
GPG has now gathered all available seismic data from surveys conducted in Grenada since the late 1960s. They have prepared all the engineering and logistical plans for the exploratory drilling campaign and are on the verge of commencing exploratory drilling campaign within the next month or two.
Coming up next on JTV News, the big story. How has the NDP fared 2 years after being re-elected? And what to get the man in your life for Father's Day?
This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is how we flow.
If you're looking for extra savings and free benefits
with car insurance
and home insurance,
Colonial has just the cover you need.
There's a free $250 gift voucher for new home insurance customers too, and 10% car insurance discount if you have home insurance.
With a claim service that's quick and friendly.
We call it Cover Without Added Costs.
Call for a quote on 494-8450 or Virgin Gorda 495-6403 or visit cgigroup.com.
Colonial, where people come first.
Welcome to TAA. We provide 24-hour roadside assistance on Tortola. We help provide freedom and peace of mind to our members throughout the island. TAA has you covered for all kinds of roadside problems, from minor mechanical first aid to helping you change your tire. TAA provides access to an impressive and ever-expanding range of innovative and reliable services that allow you to drive with confidence. Membership starts at just $99 per year. TAA offers exceptional emergency roadside service and repair. Contact us today to find out how you can become a member. Becoming a member is simple and easy. Apply online today at taaroadside.com. Tortola Automobile Association. Safety on the road.
Welcome back to JTV News. In this week's big story, we look at the ups and downs of Premier Dr. D. Orlando Smith and his administration since being re-elected 2 years ago. The National Democratic Party, led by Premier Dr. D. Orlando Smith, has been governing the British Virgin Islands for the past 6 years. However, as of June 8th, we're at the midterm mark of their governing of the BVI since re-election in 2015. Now, to examine what went right and what hasn't gone so right, we have joining us political and social commentator Bishop John Ivan Klein. Welcome to the program, Bishop.
It's good to be here.
All right, let's dive right in.
Sure.
The NDP government / its ministers, led by the Premier, have been championing specific projects as the hallmark of their achievements, leading the pack, the upgrading of Peebles Hospital, the implementation of NHI infrastructural projects led by, of course, the controversial cruise pier and park, advancements in education, small business, as well as the efforts made to bolster BVI finance. Do you agree with this assessment? And at the end of the day, what's your grade of the government's performance?
I would say that to a large degree, I do agree that the NDP government has indeed tried to accomplish some major things for the BVI. I think all of us can be proud of the Pear Park and what it is producing right now and the way it's operating. It's a place not only for visitors but for the residents. NHI has definitely made healthcare more affordable and more sustainable to the citizens of the BVI, visitors, residents alike. And Peebles Hospital is something that we can all be proud of because it is one of the desired destinations right now in the Caribbean in terms of facility that you can see that is comparable to probably U.S. So there have been some major things. Financial services, of course, yes, is the cash cow of the BVI, and it's important that we continue to keep the cow healthy, but because sometimes, you know, it's constantly under attack. So readjusting and staying on top of that is very, very, very important. I would give them maybe 55% in terms of grading and their performance. And the reason I have done that is because from where I sit, so much more could have been accomplished. With the first 4 years, I understand coming in, taking over from another administration, making the necessary adjustment. But since that first 2 years, let's say you had to make that adjustment, you have a budget of $300 million a year. So that means in the first 4 years, you had $1.2 billion. And in this second term, likewise, another $1.2 billion. So you're talking about $2.4 billion for a population of 35,000 people, small geography. And I cannot say honestly that I know where that $2.4 billion has gone to do. And because our infrastructure, I believe, is still very much in need of development, whether it's in education, whether it's in roads, whether it's in sewage, you name it. There is so much more that can be done. Our beaches, the environment seems to have been totally ignored in terms of its preservation and sustainability going forward as a tourist destination. Such a huge budget, and still we struggle with some of the most basic things.
Most of these things that you alluded to had quite a lot of controversy surrounding them, the Pier Park, NHI, but one you didn't really touch on at all was education. We had the 12th year added, and that came with a lot of controversies, a lot of talks, and then we have the expansion of the schools where a number of classrooms are being built and so much more. How do you assess the education system?
Because the education minister in the House this week gave them high marks and rubbished the critics as a set of liars, being dishonest in a sense, in trying to make it seem as if not a lot is being done when a lot of people are going to graduate starting this year, he says, with the highest set of accreditation in the nation's history.
Well, you know, the cook is not going to call his pot bad necessarily. How do you judge a ministry such as education? You have to judge it by its outcomes. You have to judge it by the continual improvement that we see. And while all is not bad and all is not lost, and I believe that we still produce a good quality of students, again, I believe so much more could have been done. Looking from the outside, when you have seen that since the last, almost 20 years, you have not had any new infrastructure development in our schools. Most of the schools have their infrastructure, I'm talking about the learning environment, has not changed. The expansion of different classes, how well that was planned to send students up to HLLCC, there's been a big question mark. So I think while the minister can rate himself, he should leave room for the public to rate him and not call what they're saying or what they're seeing or experiencing rubbish. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones who hired you. We are the ones who put you there. We are actually, technically speaking, we are your boss. We hired you and we can fire you. So it's important that you listen to the public. And that seems to have gone sort of by the way. And politicians have a way of becoming gods unto themselves after they are elected and only remember the people who hired them when election times comes around.
Sticking to the issue of the going out beyond the infrastructure, there is this debate, ongoing debate of entitlement and bringing in foreigners and allegedly providing less jobs for more locals, and whether or not that is true. At the end of the day, in the first public response I've heard from him, the Premier actually said, we as a people are not there yet in terms of being able to fill these roles. So going forward, we need to be more focused in how we train our people. To respond to that, the education minister says that the syllabus, the curriculum has been improved. Financial services courses are now involved. CSEC and CAPE have now been added. So
electronic learning.
So how would you grade in terms of core curriculum advancement, grade the education ministry in that regard?
One of the things as a business person, we often experience, especially coming out of the high school and even out of HLSCC, is the level of readiness for students coming out to integrate into our businesses. And sometimes, most times, I would say most times, they're just not ready. They may have an education in terms of learning how to read, write, and maybe some processes, but in terms of their readiness for customer interaction, understanding business processes, simple, sometimes accounting procedures, phone interaction, it's just not ready. So if you want to provide the necessary jobs and readiness for the people, yes, there needs to be a tremendous focus, understanding what is it the BVI need. We just don't need financial services in the BVI. We are a tourist destination. What are we doing in the hospitality space to ready persons?
You can't just drop a statement like you just don't need financial services in the BVI and leave it there. How do you arrive at that when the economy is based on these two pillars?
Because when if you're looking 20 and 30 years down the road and you see that this industry is constantly under threat by outside forces, you have to, as a visionary, you have to think on other revenue streams. What other areas can I look to build and make strong in case one day this house that is built on other people's money comes crashing down?
There is one level of importing labor that is very critical at this time, is creating a big stir. And is that area where we have some UK nationals that are in key positions over this territory. I know for a fact you are not comfortable with it, just like many others. How are you surviving around this?
You can't be comfortable with that. I don't think anybody, the only people that seems to be comfortable with is the Premier and some of the people inside who I don't know what their thinking is. But since 1967, when a new parliamentary government was installed in the BVI and we were given the ability to self-govern, I don't think we have seen the level of degradation in our civil servant at the top tier as we are seeing now. It's almost, we have gone 50 years back from where we've come in terms of having to need people from the UK to come in and govern over some of the most critical parts of our economy and our governance. We came out of slavery. We came out of white dominance. We don't want to go back there.
So I want to be very balanced in this. How do you equate persons from the UK taking up such senior positions as to persons from other Caribbean countries coming and taking up those positions here in the BVI?
I would prefer that.
And why?
I would prefer that simply because I believe that when you see the people from the UK coming in, I believe their agenda is different than if we recruit people from the other Caribbean islands to help us to achieve our goals because of the shortness of qualified people within our country. When people come in from the UK, our Premier and our Cabinet don't have much say in that. They don't. That's mandated by the Governor. And he's bringing them in. Now, he may have some good intentions, but I don't know if all of them are good intentions. To me, there is a lack of planning. And this comes back to the leadership of the country, not the Governor. The leadership that the people elect. We elect you to look comprehensively about the development of the territory in all aspects, not just financial services. We are more than that. We are a bigger destination than that.
Piggybacking on leadership, two of the most dominant issues that I guess some people would say showed up the level of leadership in this administration, specifically the Premier, the airport project that we're yet to get an update on, and the serious blow that the Governor dealt to the Premier and by extension the administration. How does the Premier and his administration recover, if at all, from blows like these? Is it possible with speculation of election?
In the many years we've had governors, they have intercepted certain things and they have intervened in certain areas, not to this level. Now, why is that? Is it that the governor have bad intentions? I don't think so. I think the responsibility needs to go back to the leadership, from the Premier down and his cabinet. And I feel that they have left a vacuum in leadership, in their ability to see and to manage. And because of that, when the governor sees that the things that are basic and necessary, whether it's on a local or global scale, is not being done, then is when the governor intervenes. And from my conversation with the governor, that is what I have gotten. It won't be necessary for me to be doing what I'm doing now if your government will do what they need to do. But when your government themselves seem to be conflicted, then the power is taken away from you, because there's obvious some things that are being covered up in this government that is not being addressed. There are obvious things that they don't want the public to know. So, the governor then comes and say, I need an auditor general because your audit that you say you're going to do, I don't feel will meet the expectation of the level of national governance, and expose whatever needs to expose.
So are you saying that the governor does not have that confidence in the Premier?
He doesn't have, I think the governor has lost confidence in the government.
Bishop Klein, thank you very much for sharing with us on this midterm review of the NDP administration. That's it for us on The Big Story for this week. Do check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and our website, jtvlive.net. Are you struggling to decide on that gift for your father?
June is the month we celebrate the men in our lives, the fathers, and what better gift to get that man than 4 wheels? Yes, the men love their rides. And Mr. Terrence Gum, I'm here with him from Legacy Auto Sales. Tell us what's going on with your company for men like yourself this Father's Day.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to have JTV down here in the R&R Malone Complex, Parkwood Pond, Legacy Auto. We're introducing a big Father's Day blowout sale and everything. We have all inventory. We got to go to make room for the new inventories already en route. So right now we're standing in front of the legendary Toyota Hilux. This car's been in manufacture for the past 50 years. We have it in diesel and also in gasoline. The gasoline version comes with a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder engine. We have the full bed line on the gasoline model and the running boards. It comes with 4-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. You have the real deal 4-wheel drive. Put any amount of load in it, go up any hill you want to in the Virgin Islands. Great fuel economy, backup camera, DVD player, a real sexy interior. So you can use it for work or play. This truck is designed for third world countries. It's designed to handle abuse. You're going to have this truck for the next 20 years guaranteed without a problem, Kathy. It's reduced right now to $34,500 price to go. We also have the Toyota Yaris over here. We have it in hatchback as well as sedan. It's great on fuel economy, great parking on Main Street. It's very small and compact, so you can fit in and out of any space. So even though we're celebrating fathers, ladies, this is also a good car for you. Same low price, $21,500. Come and get it. Toyota is renowned for its legendary performance, reliability, and resale value. And so this is why we brought the best brand to the islands. And again, blowout sale, come, everything must go. No reasonable offer will be refused.
Okay. And if persons want to get to know more about these offers, how can they get on to you? Where you're located? How can they contact you by phone and so on? Okay,
we're in the R&R Malone Complex in Parkwood Pond. Our telephone number are 495-2886 or 499-2870. Or you can contact us by email at manager@legacyautosalesbvi.com.
Terrence, one thing persons have a main concern about when they're purchasing a vehicle is the availability of parts.
Well, when we bring the vehicles in, we bring them in with all the parts that we think will be used within the next 2 years for that new vehicle. So we have all the service parts, all the brakes, suspension parts. We're not going to bring every single part for a brand new vehicle, but we bring the parts that we think will move. And if we don't have the part in stock, we can get it within 2 or 3 days.
Okay, not everyone can write a check for $20-something thousand and get a vehicle right on.
We have relationship with all the banks, but Scotia Bank and First Caribbean Bank, they give 100% financing with low interest rates.
Terrence, not only would a man want any vehicle, a strong vehicle, but they want sexy ones. The black Tundra that you have here is indeed most sexy for any man. Tell me more about this.
When we started this business back in September last year, that was a question in everybody's mind. When are you getting the Tundras and the Tacomas? Well, the Tundra is here now. It's an awesome truck. I've driven it myself. Power to spare. It has DVD, backup camera. It has touchscreen, the steering wheel controls, tow hitch. I mean, it's an awesome truck.
Tell me how long the sale is going to be going for and how people can get in contact with you and such like.
Well, this sale is going to last for the entire month of June. We're celebrating fathers for the entire month. Again, we just need all old inventory to go. We have a bunch of cars that's coming in within the next 2 weeks. We have the Tacomas coming. We have Yaris's coming. We have everything coming, all the good stuff. So blowout sale, no reasonable offer is going to be refused. We just want all stock gone. Entire month of June, come, fathers, mothers, everybody, just come down, have your pick.
Up next in our Medical Minute, flavorful foods with less salt. Dr. Geronimo Jones is next with the Mayo Clinic Medical Report.
Eureka, located in the British Virgin Islands. Come, discover Eureka Medical Clinic, which provides the most complete medical services in the Virgin Islands. Our state-of-the-art clinic offers the highest quality in specialty care, cardiology, gastroenterology, orthopedics, and spinal surgery. We also offer specialty care in obstetrics and gynecology, as well as dermatology. Eureka Medical Clinic offers diagnostic procedures such as x-rays, mammograms, CAT scans, and all forms of ultrasound exams. Now, for the first time in the BVI, Eureka offers MRI scanning too. With colonoscopy and gastroscopy, we check the intestines and stomach for polyps, colon cancer, and ulcers too. Located at Geneva Place in the heart of Road Town, Eureka Medical Clinic with Medicare Pharmacy and Labs offers you a comprehensive medical facility all under one roof. So for high-quality medical services and convenience, there's no need to look any further. Eureka, you found it.
Humans consume too much salt, and it puts us at risk for high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Most of the sodium we eat comes from processed foods and restaurant dishes. But even when it's a home-cooked meal, we often shake on salt before tasting what's on the plate. In this Mayo Clinic Minute, Jafe Olson speaks with a wellness executive from the Mayo Clinic Healthy Living Program about ways to add flavor without reaching for the salt shaker.
This dish will pack a punch of flavors, even though it only calls for a pinch of salt.
It's just completely overused.
But Mayo Clinic Wellness Executive Chef Jen Welper says there's an easy fix.
Bring down the salt content, purchase things with less sodium in them, and then just start from the bottom and work your way up.
Build meals for your whole palate.
All right, now we're gonna add in our cumin.
Besides saltiness, your taste buds sense sweetness, sourness, bitterness, and umami, a savory flavor.
If you can kind of hit all parts, then you have this burst of flavor.
And those other parts
4 little dashes of the Tabasco again.
can actually enhance the salt that's already in your dish.
Like lime juice, lemon juice, any type of vinegar actually enhances the salt flavor. So you can use a lot less. Guide it out of the pan.
And finally, Jen says, when the food comes off the stove and hits the table, make it a habit to sample before you shake.
Taste it first and see if it actually needs salt.
When you cook like this, the answer will probably be no. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Jeff Olson.
Before we go, a brief look at the main headlines. NDP administration gives itself the thumbs up at midterm mark, highlighting improvements in the health sector, NHI implementation, advancement in education, job creation for youths, and infrastructural projects such as the Cruise Parent Park as its hallmarks. Premier breaks his silence on appointment of UK National as Auditor General, citing inability to find qualified locals to fill the post, while arguing that there needs to be more focus on preparing locals for the job market. Ashburn Dawson's family encourages persons to call the police with information about his murder with a monetary reward. Social Development Ministry and Gender Affairs Department launch a campaign to celebrate real men across the territory. The big story this week, Bishop John Klein gives the NDP administration a 55% grade for their tenure so far in office, adding that the government has failed the people of the BVI where leadership is concerned, and it's time to look beyond financial services as the linchpin of the economy. In Caribbean news, passengers left stranded as pilots of Liat's ATR-72 aircraft take industrial action. Body of missing Jamaican woman found in a tomb in her house, while her 3-year-old daughter remains missing and police search for her boyfriend. And Antiguan government considers higher taxes for sugary beverages and foods to encourage Antiguans to eat healthy at a cheaper cost. Now, just a reminder that you can find all the news stories featured in this newscast as well as previous newscasts on our website, jtvlive.net. Additional information and news updates can be found on our Facebook page, facebook.com/JTV55. If you haven't already, please visit our Facebook page to let us know that you like us. Of course, all our news features, press conferences, and JTV's television programs can be found on our JTV News YouTube channel. Subscribe for daily uploads. We welcome your questions and comments and story ideas. Email us at jtvnews@hotmail.com. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm PTA Coombs. Thank you for watching.